Good evening. I'm going to call the August 25th, 2022 regular town board meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Present.
Councilmember Delarada. Absent. Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Councilmember Brennan.
Here.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Here. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We wish to respectfully acknowledge that Niskayuna is on the traditional lands of the Kanekahaka and the Mohikanak peoples, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded this land throughout generations. And now we'll begin with the committee reports. Police and Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. The Police and Public Safety Committee met on August 4th at 3:30. For operations, we had our Police Reform Implementation Task Force on August 4th at 5:30, and our next meeting will be September 1st at 5:30. We did speak at committee about an uptick in larcenies from town vehicles and are advising the public to lock their cars and put them in garages if possible. Sergeant Henry represented our department for area-wide police recruitment efforts, and he was at Crossgates Mall on July 16th and was at Best Fitness on July 27th and 28th. We have ordered the new body-worn camera, dash camera system through Motorola, and we anticipate a 6 to 9 month supply chain delay on that, unfortunately, but it's in process. We have ordered 2 new police bicycles from the Bicycle Patrol Outfitters with a donation from the Janelle Group. And again, because of supply chain, we're looking at December or January before delivery. For training, Officer Guest graduated from the Zone 5 Regional Law Enforcement Academy, and she is now in field training. It was a beautiful ceremony. I know some of us could attend. And Recruit Spataro has begun the Zone 5 Regional Law Enforcement Academy training. The department has completed its training on procedural justice and implicit bias and has begun training on community policing and community policing strategies. In our continued effort with our department, with our goal of supporting the emotional health of our officers, Sergeant Party will be attending the Assisting Individuals in Crisis and Group Crisis Intervention training, and this is building a peer support of critical incidents debrief teams for our agency. And also, Officer Robinson will be attending the Fire and EMS Behavioral Health Training on September 15th. This is a free training and focuses on mental health and peer support post-traumatic events. New under citizen correspondence, we had Michael Klett with ongoing concerns about speed and volume on Console Road. We did do a traffic survey. The data did not show speeding, but we'll continue our patrol efforts in that area. The police department's been representing themselves and having community engagement at the farmers market. They were there on July 9th and August 6th, and will also be there September 3rd and October 15th for Coffee with a Cop. In the Coffee with a Cop program, we have resolution tonight to accept monies from NCAP, who's supporting funding that effort. They're also supporting the paying overtime for the police officers who are there. Our department's also supporting upcoming town events, the Mohawk Hudson Marathon on October 9th, the Niskayuna Shred event October 22nd, and the Drug Take Back Day on October 29th. Regarding fire department news, Chief Linkerfelter at committee voiced appreciation for our department's participation in the Rescue Task Force program that was hosted at Iroquois Middle School. And he also appreciated the participation of Saratoga County Sheriffs, Schenectady County Sheriffs, Troy Police Department, Schenectady Fire Department, as well as other area agencies. Fire District 1 was able to complete the initial training of the remainder of their career staff, as well as their medical director. Regarding the school district, I know yourself, Supervisor, myself, and Chief Koshan met with the new superintendent, Carl Bementhe, on August 1st. And at committee, we discussed the planning department, Laura Robertson, complete streets, Wyoming Ave, Baker Ave, looking at a possible mini roundabout, just a demonstration to see how that might look. And the next step was for Laura Robertson to talk to neighbors about their thoughts and feelings on that. And the police department is excited to accept a grant from the Governor's Traffic Safety Council tonight, if it passes resolution. And this is a grant for child passenger safety and also for funding for increased police traffic services. And that's it for now. Our next meeting is September 1st at 3:30.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. And now community programs.
Thank you, Supervisor. The Community Programs Committee met on August 4th. As of earlier this month, this year's 5-week-long playground camp has come to an end. Registrations were steady at all 3 camps, and there was actually a wait list for 2 of the camps, which is a first in recent history. So we were excited about that. While we are sad that playground camps are over for this year and summer is unfortunately coming to an end, we are looking forward to seeing all of our campers again next year. Next week, we'll be wrapping up this year's summer concert series with Dadette on Wednesday, August 31st. Of course, our thanks to Schenectady County for their financial support and to the Highway Department for maintaining the green space and making a beautiful area for our residents to enjoy the live music. Fall and pre-K soccer registration has been very steady, and later this evening, we will vote on a resolution to hire staff for fall programs. This year's fall fun run will be held on September 24th. The race will start with a 100-yard dash, followed by a 5K, and will end with a 1-mile walk. Registration has already opened for that event and will continue through September 22nd. This coming Saturday will be the 8th weekend for the Farmers Market. As a reminder, the market runs every Saturday, 8:30 to 12:30 through mid-October, and we are now accepting SNAP and FMNP benefits. At the Senior Center, our exercise program continues to be successful. Unfortunately, due to weather, shorter days, and lack of lighting, we have made the difficult decision to cancel this year's 55 and over pool party, which was originally scheduled for this Friday. However, the staff at the Senior Center will be planning a different type of party at a later date, so keep an eye out for information on that. Our 12th annual Art Out event was held last weekend. The theme was The Beauty of Niskuna, and artwork will soon be on display here in the boardroom for everyone to enjoy. For the first time since COVID shutdowns, the Senior Center will be hosting a bus trip to the Van Gogh exhibit at the Schenectady Armory this fall. Due to limited seating, the trip was opened only to seniors who regularly attend the Senior Center, but we are looking forward to starting the trips again. Our next meeting will be held on Thursday, September 1st at 3 p.m. in the Schaefer Room, and of course, the public is invited to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Moskowitz. And now Public Works.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'll start with Transportation and Public Facilities. That's headed up by Ray Smith from the Highway Department. Crews continue to work on the roads, patching roads, working on catch basins and drainage throughout the town. Personnel-wise, we still have 2 positions open for ground workers at the Parks and Highway Department. So we're still out there posting those jobs, looking for some new people to join us here. Park crews have continued to work in the parks. Obviously, mowing, rec programs are started, so they're out there keeping all of the parks maintained like they do every year. Yard waste, obviously, that truck has been going around the town every week. Just a reminder, Labor Day is coming up, so with the holiday, you'll be 1 week later for your yard waste pickup with the holiday. And we continue to sweep the streets. I want to thank the Highway Department for the excellent job they did here on Knott Street East in front of Town Hall. I think that project went very well. There was a lot of public utilities on this road, and with our Highway Department, our Water and Sewer Department, and the coordination from everyone, we prepped the road and got it paved in very short order with a minimal amount of disruption to the town and to the residents. So that project went very well. So I want to thank them all for all their efforts on that. We have a item for resolution was for purchase of a bus for the senior center that Councilperson Moskowitz and myself have worked on together. So we're going to be seeing that this evening. We also have a surplus list of equipment and stuff that we're going to be surplusing. At our open discussion at this meeting, we talked about the low-mo disc golf area that seems to be working out well. The tennis courts at Avon Crest, we've been working with our controller and our legal department on that and getting the bids together in order to make that progress as quickly as possible. So good work from everybody that's participated in that, including the supervisor especially. Thank you. Also, for open discussion, some residents came and spoke about Hillside Ave. We talked about safe streets and bike lane at our meeting. We continue those discussions. All right, so that's all for transportation, public facilities. Then we move into public works, which is our water and sewer and engineering department. That's headed up by our head engineer, Matt Yetto. We're still looking to fill our junior engineer spot. So we've got advertisements out there. This is a great job for someone that might be just getting out of school with an engineering degree. The things that you can learn in a municipal setting are really valuable in the job market, and Niskayuna is a great place to work. So we're hoping that we can find someone to fill that position for us. Attorney's items that we discussed at the meeting were Pierce Road, Whitmire Drive extension, the city water contract, Dish Network, and resolution regarding outside sewer agreements. Towns working with Verizon to minimize the, impact, if you will, to the residents as far as they're digging in the project that we have going on here in town to bring in fiber optic. We're posting on the website when the digging will occur and what neighborhoods, trying to keep our residents as appraised of the progress of this project as possible. And we're also working to keep the disruption, if you will, to people's lawns and yards as minimal as possible. Budgetary modifications for some equipment that we're going to be purchased was also discussed at the meeting. Our utility billing, which you're going to see resolutions for that this evening. The wastewater treatment plant, our organic waste program. The plant is now operating and fully ready to be accepting outside waste. So hopefully that will be starting soon. Talked about some other improvements that we need to make there and get some other equipment for the plant. The water treatment plant, if you were at any of the other meetings, we're breaking that out a little bit, taking the electrical portion of that bid and contract. That seems to be one that we are going to need a lot of lead time for the equipment, so we're going to be approving that. And then we're working on the general construction bid for that project to try to get the cost of that down. We also discussed the recycling center transfer station and the shredding day of October 22nd. And our next meeting will be September 1st at 8 a.m.
Thank you, Councilmember McPartlin.
Wasn't it a little long? I'm sorry.
That was not. I'm loving it. I'm going to offer a few remarks, some of which have already been touched on. I want to begin by thanking the Conservation Advisory Council and the Natural Resource Inventory Subcommittee for their work on Part 1 of the Natural Resources Inventory. And we will acknowledge their work later in a resolution. This is a volunteer committee, and it's assisted by our town planner and staff that is doing some really important work. I'd like to note that this work was funded by the Niskayuna Community Foundation. It was a $2,000 grant, so I want to thank the Niskayuna Community Foundation for that, awarding that grant so that the natural resource inventory is made possible. I also want to give a brief update. Bill already provided, I'm sorry, Councilmember McPartlin. We're all friends up here. I'd like to give an update on Avon, Crest tennis and pickleball courts. We discussed them last month. This project was necessary because when I came into office, I took a look at those buildings and the facilities, and the courts at Avon Crest were in bad repair. They had to be chained and closed for the season. So we work together. I mean, really work together. I think we were on the phone quite often in the early mornings and the late evenings. And tonight, we have the potential to vote. We voted to accept the state grant. And tonight, when we're thankful for Phil Steck, thank you so much, Phil, for getting those funds for us. And we have the potential to approve a contract tonight for the construction of those new tennis courts. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that everything will move forward with deliberation and efficiency so we can begin the work and hope to get all the pickleball players and the tennis players back on Avon Crest Park courts. I want to thank the Highway Department. Thank you, Ray Smith. I want to thank the Comptroller's Department, Beth and Janet. I want to thank the town attorney. Thank you, Elena, for meeting this moment. Again, we worked together and we acted with urgency and we put together some complex pieces to move this forward. And I also want to thank Councilmember McPartlin and Jessica Brennan for always taking my calls and putting this together. You know, we still have to contend with potential supply chain issues, but we put it together in a good amount of time, and we're hopeful that this will be a win for the town. I want to give another update on Verizon. Councilmember McPartlin already spoke to that. It's important infrastructure that's happening in town. It's going to give our residents another choice for high-speed internet. As I indicated last month, you know, none of us look forward to the digging, but it's necessary to bury the conduit for the updated fiber technology. And we have been working very closely. Bill McPartlin and I have been working with the Verizon contractors, with Matt Yetto, Dan Bolke, to you know, make the process as easy as possible on our residents. We want to make sure to provide constant communication. And as Councilmember McPartlin said, we have an updated list of streets that will be undergoing work or that have had work completed. And these resources can be found on the town's website. They were also posted on social media. And if you, again, have any questions, you can call the 1-800 number because Verizon is returning calls and providing residents with prior notice before digging. Overall, the strong message I want to convey is that at Town Hall, you know, we are working together. Much of my month was spent internally meeting with department heads. Tonight, we're going to vote on updating the employee handbook because we're going to be moving into compliance with updated insurance policies and state laws that have changed since 2018. We'll also be voting on an upgrade to our email service, which will make our email better and, most importantly, more secure, and it's fiscally responsible. And I want to thank the Comptroller's Office again for all the work put into the employee handbook. Very nice job, and the IT finding affordable services. I've been focusing a lot on communication, and that's internally within our departments to make sure we have excellent communication outside of Town Hall. So I've spent a lot of time working with department heads and high-level meetings. And also within interdepartment meetings to really try to focus on breaking the silos that are within departments and make sure that we're working well across departments. So I want to thank all the department heads for their cooperation and dedication. I know we all strive to give the residents the best possible service. And I'll move on now to the privilege of the floor. Thank you.
Leslie Gold, 1919 Pawtucket Avenue. I've got a couple comments that aren't related to each other. Regarding Resolution 2022-223, I'm very pleased to see this. I'm amazed at the generosity of the citizen involved. I'm not going to rob the board's power here or whatever, but it's a very generous donation to the town, and I'm glad you seem to have the wisdom to accept it. I have a question on the Verizon build out. I don't know if the street list that's on currently is the final list or not. I just know my street's not on it, and it's on the street behind me. It would be nice if it came over. I have a concern with the resolution about the inventory, number 2022-230. I'm concerned with one bit of language because it seems to imply that the recycling and transfer station is actually parkland, and it is not. The Blatnick Park was carved out of the landfill site. The recycling and transfer station continued. It was very different back when it was a landfill, but it's been improved several times over the years. There was a small committee of citizens who worked with the town on the last bit of upgrading that was done. We had hopes for more, still do. And I'm just concerned about the language implying something that's not quite accurate. Because if the recycling and transfer station is ever deemed to be parkland, we have a huge problem because that limits its use. It limits any opportunity to expand service. And I think down the road, the town may well need to do that. As requirements get stricter, there are articles that say that there are going to be fewer vendors doing trash hauling for us, or that their prices are going to be out of sight. And having a resource such as the recycling transfer station within the town is a very valuable asset, and we need to hold on to it and hopefully develop it even better than it is now. And I think that's all my points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gold. The floor is still open.
Hi, I'm Catherine Wolfram. I live in the new Rivers Ledge Apartments and loving it there, by the way. So I'd like to express my gratitude to the Conservation Advisory Council for the work they did to complete phase 1 of the Natural Resources Inventory, and also gratitude to the Community Foundation that supported that offered the funding for that. I'd planned to participate in the inventory work that day, but at the last minute I was unable to, so I was a little disappointed that I couldn't join in the walk through the forests. I hope the town board accepts and acts on the recommendations of the Conservation Advisory Council about all of those recommendations. I think there were 3 or 4 as stewards of the Niskuna lands. A couple of points about the NRI. The project enjoyed support from the community, and several residents I know participated in the workday. The recommendations seem to be aligned with the town's 2013 comprehensive plan. The biodiversity of the forests that were described in that NRI is really essential for people living in harmony with nature. Many people want to live and work in areas where natural areas exist and are healthy, and they're sustained by the town boards and city councils. Long-term sustainability for the environment requires that we maintain some kind of biodiversity, and when we're living in these developed but yet still some spaces left for natural areas. The NRI also recommends connecting recreational lands to the bike trail, which is, we really need to keep that, preserve that. Niskuna natural areas are more accessible by folks from the city of Schenectady, so rather than going to the Adirondacks or somewhere else, so maintaining those natural areas is an equity issue, as natural areas are limited within the city. As climate change is warming, areas for cooling will be even more essential. And I know that you all have noticed in the last couple of weeks how much cooler it is in the shade than it is standing in the sun. So that's part of the cooling, and along with that, if there is more development, it's really important that you keep the trees there, as many as you can. You can clear cut the place where you build a house, but you don't have to clear the whole land. You just reduce the capacity for shade and for cooling. I did go into a neighborhood in Albany, in Saratoga County. In that neighborhood, the residents were, they could not cut any more trees from their land. There was just the cutout for where the house was built, and it was surrounded by trees, and you really could smell the cedars, and it was really beautiful. So it's not necessary to clear cut everything for development. None of the recommendations in the NRI would seem to be cost prohibitive. A hiking trail through the community center would be awesome. And lastly, I hope that any further development comes with maintaining some elements of forests. And a side comment is that I see the designation of councilman and councilwoman still exists, so I'm still hoping that it says, instead of council member, yours says councilwoman, yours says councilman, yours says councilman, yours says councilman. I think it should just be council member. I mean, I think for equality issues and for situations that arise in the future that may not be binary. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wolfram. Are there any other residents here? I'm going to just answer a few of the questions since they were raised. The Verizon list is not complete, and the image that you'll see online is of work that has been conducted and that permits have been approved. But Verizon has stated to us that the work will be townwide. Yay. Okay. Thank you for your concern about the transfer station. I want to, acknowledge that and the hopes for upgrading and discussions around the transfer station are occurring in the Public Works Committee and with our engineer, Matt Yetto. Ms. Wolfram, thank you for your comments about the NRI and the Community Foundation. I wanted to add to your comments that we will have a fall hiking program this fall, and we're making a concerted effort to reach out to those community members who might not historically engage in hiking. And we have community members who are working to reach out to not only Niskayuna residents, but residents in Schenectady, because we want to make sure that the lands are accessible and welcoming to all residents. And also, your comment about council member is taken, and we have changed the language in our documents. And now that you've brought it to our attention, we can look to changing these placards as well. Thank you. And so we can now move on to, it's another to-do list. We can move on to our resolutions. Thank you. So let us begin with resolution number 2022-214, sponsored by Council Member Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting grant monies from New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-215, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution permanently appointing a principal account clerk.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-216, sponsored by Council Member McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing payment for repair of the ultraviolet disinfection system at the town's wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan,
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-217, will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of email cloud storage.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-218, sponsored by Councilmember McPartland and Councilmember Moskowitz.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a bus for the town's senior center.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Councilmember McPartlin already touched on it, but this was definitely a joint effort that went on for a little while. There was a lot of thought that went into it. Just quickly, I appreciate everyone's hard work. Beth, Janet, Ray, Ken, Lori, the senior center staff, and the highway committee. There were a lot of ideas tossed around, but we came to an agreement, and I appreciate everyone's hard work. I know the staff at the senior center is very excited about it.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Moskowitz. I want to echo those remarks. It's kind of amazing, you know, you would think just purchasing one bus for the senior center would sort of be an easy task, but it wasn't. We needed to get everybody's input on it, right? From our transportation department to our people that work at the senior center to our community programs people. So everybody putting in their ideas get us the exact product that we want, and it's going to be very useful for the residents of the town. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-219, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution regarding the reconciliation of corporate utility rents for the first quarter of 2022.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-220, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing certain budgetary modifications.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-221, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni and Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the sale of certain surplus equipment.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-222, sponsored by Councilmember McPartlin. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a skid steer with attachments for use in the town's water and sewer department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes.
That's 4 ayes.
The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-223, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting a time and services donation for Lions Park Train Station and Rosendale School/Grange.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just want to thank Jim McKinney. I've known Jim McKinney for many years. He's a very capable architect, and we're very lucky to have him take on this project. He's sort of in retirement a little bit, and him taking on this project is a huge benefit to the town. So publicly just want to thank him for doing this.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
I too will thank Mr. McKinney for volunteering his time and effort. I think it's probably going to be a good amount of work and time that goes into it. So I think it's commendable that a resident would volunteer their time for that.
We got great people in this town.
We do.
We really do.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-224, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appropriating fund balance.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-225, sponsored by Councilmember McPartland. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the second quarter corporate utility warrant.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-226, sponsored by Councilmember McPartland. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a forklift for use in the town's water and sewer department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-227, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing a student worker in the planning and building department.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-228, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing an alternate member to the Town of Niskiuna Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-229, sponsored by Councilmember Brennan. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution accepting grant monies for the town's police department from NCAP.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I will just say thank you to NCAP. They have such an impact on our community. They fund so many different things, just like the Community Foundation. They have their hands in a lot of things, and I know we all benefit from their generosity and their impact and their volunteerism. So I just wanted to thank them publicly too.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-230. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution regarding Phase 1 of a natural resource inventory.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-231, sponsored by Councilmember De La Rada. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution appointing a member to the Complete Streets Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-232, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution hiring individuals to work in the town's Office of Community Programs.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-233, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni. Will the clerk please read?
Resolution approving updates to the employee handbook.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-234, sponsored by Councilmember McPartland. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution authorizing the purchase of a pump for the Balltown South Sewer Pump Station.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-235, sponsored by Councilmember Moskowitz. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution extending a license agreement with the Niskuna Youth Football.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
I'm going to be recusing myself of this vote due to my connection with the program.
Okay. Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 3 ayes.
thank you. The resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-236, sponsored by Councilmember McPartland. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution amending Resolution 2021-73.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
That's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. Resolution number 2022-237, sponsored by Supervisor Puccioni and Councilmember McPartland. Will the clerk please read?
A resolution awarding a contract for the reconstruction of Avon Crest Park Courts.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Moskowitz.
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Aye.
Councilmember Brennan.
Yes.
Supervisor Puccioni.
Yes,
It's 4 ayes.
the resolution passes. That is all we have on tonight's agenda. At this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned and have a good night.